I have watched every single movie nominated for Best Picture at the 2025 Oscars, and I'm going to rank them from worst to best. And as always, your list may or may not look like mine. That is fine. Comment down below what your list would look like, and of course, slight spoilers ahead for each film. Starting off at number 10, I have Emilia Perez. Not only do I think this is the absolute worst film on the list, but it is completely undeserving of being nominated for Best Picture. If I told you about the controversy surrounding the main lead actress, Carla Sofia Gascon, controversy surrounding this movie being based in Mexico, but the director being French, and basically all but saying he didn't really do his research on the Mexican cartel or Mexico itself, the controversy surrounding the poor representation of trans women/men in this film, I would be here all day, but even before I knew about any of those controversies, when I first saw this movie, I thought it was really bad. First of all, how are you a musical with no good songs? Like, there are no good, memorable songs at all from Emilia Perez, and it's a 2.5 hour long musical. The choreography during some of these scenes are fair, but it has you wondering why it's sharing the same category with Wicked. The acting is very surface level unless it's coming from Zoe Saldana, who is the only singular person of this film taking home any awards. I mean, she is literally sweeping every single award show she goes to. Let it be known, if there were no Emilia Perez controversy, it would be everybody else winning these awards too, except for Selena Gomez. Selena Gomez, great job in Wizards of Waverly Place, subpar job Emilia Perez. I have little to no good things to say about it. Again, I don't know why it's being nominated. I could get into why politically I think it is, but we're going to move on to the next one. Number 9, I have A Complete Unknown. This is by no means as bad as Emilia Perez, and I wouldn't even say it's a bad movie. At its worst, it is just very, very tedious. I knew little to nothing about Bob Dylan going into A Complete Unknown, and coming out of this biopic, I still feel like I knew little to nothing about Bob Dylan. It's the story about a man who is an aspiring artist. As the movie progresses, he gets better and better, he gets more popularity, he gets more fans. By the end, he becomes almost a narcissistic shell of who he used to be. I'm sorry, but that sounds like a lot of movies I've seen in the past. If you're a Bob Dylan fan, I'm sure you're going to love this movie, but as someone who was not a Bob Dylan fan, his life was not interesting enough to warrant a film. I'm sorry, it wasn't. I thought Timothée Chalamet did a great job with the covers of his songs. The production was noteworthy, and by no means would I say this is a bad movie, but let it be known, I could watch this once and probably never again. Number 8 is I'm Still Here. This is a really good film about a mother taking care of her family during the Brazilian army regime of the 1970s. The father of the family goes missing, and the mother is brought in for questioning. The woman and her daughter are held captive for 5 whole days, and then they're expected to go back to their normal life. The mother is trying to keep the family together while keeping it a secret what potentially happened to the father. While at the same time, the army is tapping into their phones, watching them almost 24 hours a day. While at the same time, she is trying to conspire against the regime and bring justice to the disappearance of her husband. Fernanda Torres does an outstanding job, and the cinematography is some of the best of the 10. The film is largely really good. The weakest part would be the first act. I feel like it took way too long for us to really get into the meat and potatoes, which, is the father's disappearance. I appreciate them showing the family dynamic, the loving and togetherness we feel from that sense of what they used to be, but I don't think we needed 45 minutes of that in the opening, That being said, I had a really good time if I'm Still Here, but there are just some things I would change up if I were in the director's chair. Number 7 is The Brutalist. The movie is about a Holocaust survivor immigrating over to Philadelphia in the 1940s. He settles down in Philadelphia where he is trying to make a living and achieve the American dream, but as always, because of where he came from, he's being treated like garbage. It's getting tough out here for Laszlo. He's falling on hard times, he's getting addicted to drugs. A wealthy man takes a chance on him and brings him on to work on some architectural projects. Brutalist is a visually stunning film with a great musical score. Adrien Brody puts on a performance that I believe warrants him winning Best Actor at the Oscars potentially. The political climate of the world right now, this movie came at the right time, exploring the themes of immigration, of racism, capitalism, pursuing the American dream, and how the higher-ups of the world are going to hold you down. My fear was that this movie was going to turn into a, hey, let's show you how bad the Holocaust really was. The Lord knows I've seen enough of that. I think you've seen enough of that too. The movie knows what it is and it focuses on that. And I do think at times it's a little bit surface with its themes, but I can appreciate it. My biggest gripe is the length, 3.5 hours with an intermission. While I think every scene has its importance and every line means something, You could find 45 minutes of trim. I firmly believe this does not have to be 3.5 hours long to get the point across. Great film, but unfortunately the length is going to dissuade a lot of people from wanting to see it. Number 6 is Nickel Boys. The movie takes place during the Jim Crow era and follows the perspective of two boys. Mainly Elwood, who was framed for a crime that really was not his fault, and because of it is sent to a reform school known as the Nickel Academy. And the Nickel Academy is very much an abusive school where the white and black students are segregated. Black students are forced to work hard, strict labor during the times when they are being taught. And if these boys disobey their white master, the white head of the school, you know what happens to them. These boys are almost all but living in concentration camps. And it's told from both the third and first perspective of the two boys. The movie is very much experimental and giving us that first person perspective. It puts you right in the shoes of what is happening and it really immerses you. You already feel for the boys, but it really cuts you a lot deeper when it feels like you are the boy. The acting is great. The cinematography is great. The sound gave me very much Zone of Interest 2024 vibes, which I'm still a little not sure how to feel about it. All in all, I think Nickel Boys is a great time. Just get ready to shed some tears. Number 5, we have my favorite movie of 2024, Wicked. Now, Wicked is nowhere near as serious as the previous 5 films, as it is a fictional fantasy that moonlights as the sequel/prequel to Wizard of Oz. It follows pre-Wicked Witch of the West, Elphaba, and pre-Good Witch of the North, Glinda. It takes you through their relationship becoming from basically almost bitter enemies to better friends, and their journey to meet the Wizard of Oz. Wicked sharing this category with Emilia Perez is an absolute insult to Wicked because this is a phenomenal musical. The acting is great enough that both Cynthia Erivo and Ariana Grande got nominated at the Oscars for it. Choreography didn't play around. You would think you're watching an actual Broadway play. It was so great. And the music, come on. You had No One Mourns the Wicked. You had Dancing Through Life. You had Popular, The Wizard and I, Defying Gravity. It was all great. It was all perfect. Wicked truly takes you on a journey and rewards you for staying on the entire ride. I wasn't a big musical guy going into this movie, but now I've already purchased my ticket to my first Broadway show. Wicked has really changed the game for me and how I perceive and watch certain movies. And while I can't say it's better objectively than the next 4, it's definitely my favorite of the bunch. Number 4 is Dune Part 2. Direct sequel from the 2021 Dune, it follows Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. We follow his story as he goes on an expedition through the Outer Worlds to become the Duke of Arrakis. First, if we can get out of the way right now, cinematography, production-wise, stage design-wise, you could even make an argument for makeup and costume design. This is the best film of the bunch. And I mean the ensemble cast of Timothée Chalamet, Zendaya, Florence Pugh, Anya Taylor-Joy, who was there for like maybe 10 seconds, Dave Bautista, Florence Pugh, Josh Brolin. I can keep going. They all filled their roles to near perfection. I know cinema when I see it, and Dune 2 is cinema. Now, unfortunately, because it was the earliest movie to release on this list, it's probably not going to win that many Oscars. If Timothée Chalamet don't get it for a complete unknown, and honestly, I don't really feel like he should definitely get it for being Paul Muad'Dib Atreides. Duke of Arrakis! Now, let me just say this real quick. When it comes to these 3 movies right here, I don't believe there's truly a wrong answer for how you rank the rest of this list. Quite literally, 1A, 1B, 1C. They're all fantastic in my opinion. I'm going to try my absolute best to be objective about this top 3 and not put a personal bias in here. But this is what I believe is the top 3 best films of the Oscars. Number 3 is The Conclave. The Pope is dead. And it is now Thomas Lawrence's job to form a conclave, bring all the popes together, all the potential next popes together, and basically decide from there who should be the next pope. It's not as easy as hey, this person gets it because we think he's the best. It's a very long, stressful process. It's a group of nearly 100 potential popes all wanting to get that top spot, but they have to vote on who they think should get it. The only way the pope is decided is when there are 2/3 majority voting in this person. It doesn't sound that interesting when you're hearing it on paper, but when I tell you this turns into the messiest film, it turns into the juiciest, drama-filled political film you will ever see. Every 10 minutes, someone is being exposed. Some dirt is being brought to light. It's insane. This movie truly is a roller coaster to watch, especially if you don't know who wins. And that ending, the ending just blew everyone's mind. All Fiennes, I think, did an outstanding job as Thomas Lawrence. Isabella Rossellini, also great job. One man who truly got robbed, was Stanley Tucci. Arno Bellini should have got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and I will not let the Academy live this down. The movie has tremendous cinematography and color grading, and the use of sound is very interesting because there's really not a lot of sound to use when there's casual conversation happening, you know? I think the use of silence really brings it to light in this film, and I really appreciate it for doing that. If the Conclave wins Best Picture at the Oscars, I will be shocked. I will stand up and I will clap because, god damn it, they deserve it. This was truly shocker of the year. I had no expectations for this film, and to this day, I will still recommend it to anybody. Go watch The Conclave if you have not already. Number 2 is Anora. Anora is about a sex worker who finds herself with a multimillionaire. This multimillionaire, I mean, he is very ADHD, very autism coded. Maybe the average Twitter user, I don't know. He's very out there. Let's just put it that way. He's very out there. Before somebody gets up in arms, I have ADHD, I'm allowed to talk about the spectrum, okay? Nora finds herself enjoying the company of this man, and he's like, hey, you know, I'm technically not supposed to be in this country for much longer because I don't live here. I live in Russia. I'm an immigrant. Why don't we get married and I could stay here forever and we can be husband and wife? And you could go back and forth all day about if she truly loved this man, if it was just the money and the fame, the wealth. But she says, okay, and they go and they get married. Once they get married and the family comes to get him back, it becomes the funniest ride you will ever go on. I was in that theater damn near belly laughing at times. I did not expect this movie to be anywhere as laugh out loud funny as it was. I mean, it knew when to be tragic, it knew when to be sad, it knew when to be uplifting, but by God, was it hilarious. Ricky Madison did a stellar job as Anora, and a lot of people were saying that maybe she's getting robbed for Best Actress, but I think she has a very, very good shot at winning it at the Oscars. When it comes to production, not that it's bad at production, I think it's good, but it falls towards the back end of the other films I mentioned. Movie's strength is the acting in the script, and it is strong enough to put it at the number 2 spot. Explore the themes of prostitution, self-worth, self-love, you know, protecting yourself. This movie has a great commentary, and I think everyone should go watch it. This is one of the only films I gave 5 stars in 2024, and it is that for a reason. It's phenomenal. But in my opinion, the best picture is The Substance. And I know this is a very polarizing choice to be number 1, but let me get into it. The movie follows Elizabeth Sparkle in the twilight of her acting career. Beautiful woman, but to Hollywood, she's aging out of her star power. They want younger, they want skinnier, they want more beautiful, they want everything that's not her. Her self-worth's at an all-time low. That is until she finds the commercial for a black market drug called The Substance. She takes the substance thinking she's going to become a younger version of herself, but it doesn't exactly work out that way. She basically births a younger version of herself. Again, it's not that simple, because these two entities have to take turns. They have 1 full week, then they have to switch. And at the end of the day, they are one. Except there's some sentience there because the younger version of herself obviously wants to keep relevant and obviously wants to still stay. Meanwhile, Elizabeth Sparkle is basically self-destructing both physically and mentally. I will admit, this film is very disturbing to some, and I can see why. This film doesn't shy away from those conversations of female beauty standards in Hollywood, in the real world. Self-worth, self-hatred, how we as humans view ourselves and idolize other people. Humans are willing to do to achieve greatness. These are all great conversations that are had and depicted in this film. They're able to do that while still keeping this gritty nature and basically showing you the brutality of that evolution. Demi Moore does an outstanding job. She is sweeping the awards right now. I think she probably has this Oscar in the bag. Margaret Qualley has been snubbed multiple times, and it upsets me that she is not even being nominated at the Oscars. Even Dennis Quaid, who was in this film for like maybe 2-3 minutes, does an outstanding job too. Practical effects, the stage design, the color grading, the photography, all of it. The scoring is jarring. It's hypnotizing. It really reels you into the film. Soundtrack is very like electro techno, but also kind of like groovy. Like, I don't know how to describe it. Again, I think you can make a case for any of these 3 films, and I would not be mad at you. I would not disagree with you, but in my opinion, The Substance is the best picture of 2024. That is my list. What did you guys think? Comment down below. Let me know. I'll be live for the Oscars this Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. See you all there.